I think if Arteta doesn't win a trophy this season, I think he gets a sack. Not because he's not done a good job, but because he can't get a trophy over the line. He's spent a lot of money, they've got a really good side. You've got to go and win a trophy. If they finish second again and they don't win a trophy, the fans will say, where's the progress? We're spending money, but we're not winning anything. You've got to win trophies.
There was a time not long ago when Arsenal had lost their way. The Emirates felt heavy with frustration, the football was lifeless, and the club that once set the standard for beauty and dominance in England was drifting into irrelevance. Under Unai Emery, results crumbled, performances lacked identity. Arsenal was stuck in mid-table, winless in 7 league games and closer to relegation than top 4. The Gunners were no longer feared, they were forgotten. And then came Mikel Arteta, a rookie manager stepping into chaos, armed only with a clear vision and an unshakable belief. He rebuilt the culture, demanded standards and slowly sculpted a team with purpose, discipline and hunger. In just a few seasons, Arsenal went from fragile and fractured to fierce and fearless, pushing Manchester City to the very limit in a Premier League title race.
Kai Havertz! There's the goal! Arsenal made it 4 and it's Kai Havertz on the score sheet!
It's the most solid teams in all departments in the world. They can do everything good, better than the other ones, and of course it's tough, and Arsenal is back.
In December 2019, Arsenal were a club in turmoil. The Unai Emery era had ended in disarray. The team sat mid-table and the atmosphere around the Emirates felt flat. Performances lacked identity, fans were restless, and the club's proud history seemed a distant memory. Freddie Ljungberg had been placed in temporary charge, but the long-term solution had to be someone who could restore belief, not just in results, but in Arsenal's very way of playing. That man was Mikel Arteta. On the 20th of December, Arsenal announced the return of their former captain, this time not as a player, but as head coach. He arrived from Manchester City, where he'd been Pep Guardiola's right-hand man, bringing with him a football philosophy rooted in tactical discipline.
I know how a winning culture should look like, which is for me the most important thing. You need a direction, you need a vision, and you need action. You have to be ruthless, believe on that, and go.
His task? To rescue a fractured season, rebuild a fractured squad, and reignite the club's competitive spirit. Arteta inherited a squad that had been reshaped the summer before. Nicolas Pepe had arrived for a club record £72 million. Gabriel Martinelli had been signed from Brazil as an unknown teenager. Kieran Tierney joined from Celtic. David Luiz came from Chelsea. And William Saliba was secured for the future but sent back on loan to Saint Etienne. Dani Ceballos had been brought in on loan from Real Madrid to add creativity in midfield. These were Emery signings, but now they would be Arteta's tools.
These players, every time they wear that shirt, every time they jump into that pitch, they give absolutely everything, and they have to feel there is a sense of what we are trying to achieve.
His first games showed signs of change. On New Year's Day 2020, Arsenal hosted Manchester United. The Gunners played with raw energy, pressing with intent and defending as a unit. Goals from Pepe and Socrates sealed a 2-0 win, and for the first time in months, the Emirates felt alive. January's transfer window gave Arteta a chance to quietly strengthen. No blockbuster signings came in. This was about patching holes. Pablo Mari arrived on loan from Flamengo to add a composed left-footed option in central defence. Cedric Soares came in from Southampton, also on loan, to provide depth at right-back. Modest moves on paper, but Arteta's focus was on building a structure before making big changes. Tactically, his early Arsenal was about stability, influenced by Barcelona's footballing philosophy in his time under Pep Guardiola. Arteta revamped Arsenal's approach and often used a 4-2-3-1, but as the season went on, especially after football resumed post-Covid lockdown, he switched to a 3-4-3 that maximised his defenders' strengths. Granit Xhaka found a new lease of life as a deep-lying playmaker, while the fullbacks, particularly Tierney, became crucial outlets. Up front, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang thrived as an inverted left forward, cutting inside to deadly effect. The Premier League campaign remained inconsistent. Arsenal struggled to climb the table, finishing 8th, their lowest league position since 1994-95. But while league form faltered, something else was brewing, a remarkable FA Cup run. In the quarter-finals, Arsenal edged Sheffield United. In the semi-final at Wembley, they produced one of the season's finest performances, beating Pep Guardiola's Manchester City 2-0, with Aubameyang scoring twice in a tactical masterclass. Then came the final against Chelsea on the 1st of August 2020. After falling behind early, Arsenal roared back. Aubameyang equalised from the penalty spot, then produced a sublime chip finish to win the game. The FA Cup was theirs. Arsenal's record 14th in history, and Arteta had his first trophy just 8 months into the job. It also secured a Europa League qualification, a vital boost both financially and competitively. By the time the season ended, Mikel Arteta had done more than just win a trophy. He'd changed the mood, reshaped the style of play, and laid the groundwork for a cultural reset. From the chaos of mid-December to lifting silverware at Wembley, Arteta's debut season was proof that even in the toughest circumstances, a clear vision and tactical intelligence could begin to turn a club's fortunes around. The 2020-21 season was supposed to be the beginning of a new era for Arsenal, as Arsenal prepared for Arteta's first full season in charge. There was hope that the club could build on that momentum. The board backed him in the transfer market. The headline signing was Thomas Partey from Atletico Madrid, an all-action midfielder with the power, technical ability and defensive awareness Arsenal had been long crying out for. Brazilian centre-back Gabriel Magalhães arrived from Lille, bringing composure and strength to the back line. Willian joined on a free transfer from Chelsea, adding Premier League experience and creativity. Dani Ceballos returned for another season-long loan from Real Madrid, and young goalkeeper Rune Alex Runarsson came in to replace the departing Emiliano Martinez. Just before the league began, Arsenal faced Liverpool at Wembley and once again rose to the occasion, winning on penalties after a 1-1 draw. It was Arteta's second piece of silverware in just a few months, and it fed the belief that the club was on the right track. Arsenal opened their Premier League campaign with a confident 3-0 win away at Fulham. Gabriel scoring on his debut, Aubameyang curling in a trademark finish, and the team looking sharp in Arteta's preferred 3-4-3 system. A week later, they followed that up with a 2-1 win over West Ham. And even though an early defeat came at Liverpool, there was a sense that Arsenal were more organised, more resilient. But after a steady start, the season's tone began to change. From November to Boxing Day, Arsenal went on a run of just 1 win in 10 league games. Creativity dried up, goals were scarce, and confidence drained from the squad. Arteta's faith in the 3-4-3 system, which had brought success in the Cups, was suddenly under scrutiny as opponents learned how to nullify it. Big players like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Alexandre Lacazette struggled for form, and new signing Willian failed to make the expected impact. Thomas Partey, so impressive when fit, battled injury problems, limiting his influence. Arsenal were hovering dangerously close to the relegation zone, something almost unthinkable for a club of their stature. Pressure on Arteta was building. Critics questioned whether his tactical ideas were too rigid, whether his inexperience was showing, but this was the moment when he made the boldest move of his season. In late December, he ripped up the plan and turned to the club's young talents. Against Chelsea on Boxing Day, Arteta started Emile Smith-Rowe, Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli. All three bursting with energy and fearlessness. The result was electric. Arsenal won 3-1, playing with tempo, aggression and freedom. Saka secured a stunning goal. Smith-Rowe added creativity in the number 10 role, and Martinelli's relentless pressing lifted the entire team. That match became the turning point. From then on, Arsenal shifted to a 4-2-3-1 formation, with Smith-Rowe at the heart of their attacking play. Then Martin Ødegaard was brought in on loan from Real Madrid in January to add even more creativity. The balance began to improve. Lacazette rediscovered his scoring touch. Saka continued his breakout season, and the defence, anchored by Gabriel and Rob Holding, looked more secure. There were still frustrating setbacks, but the Gunners found consistency in the league's second half. Notable wins included a 3-1 comeback victory against Leicester, a hard-fought North London derby win over Spurs, and a dramatic 3-2 triumph away at Benfica in the Europa League round of 32, with Aubameyang scoring a late winner to keep the European dream alive. However, Europe would ultimately bring heartbreak. Arsenal reached the Europa League semi-finals only to be knocked out by former manager Unai Emery's Villarreal. It was a painful defeat, especially given how close they were to a final, and it left winning the competition as their last chance of securing European football for the following season. In the Premier League, Arsenal ended strongly, winning their final 5 matches, including victories over Chelsea and Crystal Palace. But it wasn't enough to secure a top 6 finish. They ended the campaign in 8th place, missing out on European qualification entirely. Statistically, it was a season of contrasts. Arsenal conceded just 39 goals, the third best defensive record in the league, showing Arteta's organisational influence, but they scored only 55 goals, their lowest tally in a full Premier League season since 1995-96, reflecting attacking struggles that defined much of the campaign. Key players emerged despite the inconsistencies. Bukayo Saka was the standout, leading the team in assists and becoming the creative heartbeat of the side at just 19 years old. Emile Smith-Rowe's introduction revitalised the attack. Kieran Tierney became a fan favourite with his tireless runs down the left and warrior mentality. And in defence, Gabriel Magalhães impressed in his debut season, while Bernd Leno provided crucial saves to keep Arsenal in games. By the time the 2020-21 season ended, the table told one story, but the squad's evolution told another. Arteta had endured his first full campaign in charge through turbulence, criticism, and the kind of pressure that could break many managers. But he had also rebuilt the foundations, placing faith in youth, tightening the defence, and beginning to shape the squad in his image. The 2021-22 season was make or break for Mikel Arteta. 2 years into his tenure, the Spaniard had lifted an FA Cup and brought some defensive stability, but Arsenal had finished 8th in back-to-back campaigns, missing out on European football for the first time in over 2 decades. Now, with the full backing of the board, Arteta was tasked with taking the next step in his rebuild. The summer was ambitious. Arsenal spent more money than any other Premier League club in the transfer window, around £150 million, but the signings weren't flashy household names. They were carefully chosen pieces for the future. Ben White arrived from Brighton for £50 million, a ball-playing centre-back to complement Gabriel Magalhaes. Aaron Ramsdale, signed from Sheffield United, was a surprise choice for many. Critics questioned the fee, but Arteta believed in his leadership and distribution. Then came Takahiro Tomiyasu, the versatile Japanese defender from Bologna. These were young, hungry players, signings with potential, not just for the present, but for years ahead. The season, however, could not have started worse. On opening nights, Arsenal travelled to Brentford for the Bees' first ever Premier League match. Arsenal looked flat, losing 2-0. The misery continued with defeats to Chelsea and Manchester City, leaving Arsenal bottom of the table after 3 games. 0 points, 0 goals scored. Pressure was mounting. Some questioned if Arteta's project had already run its course. But just when it seemed the season might spiral, the turnaround began, with new signings integrated and key players returning. Arsenal went on an 8-game unbeaten run. Ramsdale's infectious energy and world-class saves instantly made him a fan favourite. Tomiyasu slotted seamlessly into right-back, providing balance between attack and defence. Ben White's composure at the back paired perfectly with Gabriel's aggression, while Tierney and Tavares rotated to keep the left side fresh. Arteta began to shift from the cautious football of his early tenure to a more aggressive, fluid 4-2-3-1 system. Granit Xhaka and Thomas Partey anchored the midfield, freeing the attacking trio of Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard and Emil Smith-Rowe to express themselves. Odegaard signed permanently from Real Madrid that summer after a successful loan spell, became the creative conductor, while Saka continued his rise as Arsenal starboy. Smith-Rowe, wearing the number 10 shirt, brought direct running and goals from midfield. The first real statement win came in late September, a 3-1 victory over Tottenham in the North London derby. In a blistering first-half display, Smith-Rowe, Aubameyang and Saka all scored, and the Emirates roared like it hadn't in years. That performance wasn't just 3 points, it was a glimpse of the future Arteta wanted. As the autumn months rolled on, Arsenal climbed into the top 4 race. Aubameyang remained captain, but his form dipped, and in December, a disciplinary breach saw Arteta make the bold decision to strip him of the armband and eventually freeze him out the squad. It was a controversial call, but it signalled that Arteta's authority was absolute. No player was bigger than the team. Lacazette stepped in as the senior striker, linking play and bringing out the best in the younger attackers. January brought limited reinforcements. No major signings were made, but Arsenal offloaded several players, including Aubameyang, who joined Barcelona. This meant the burden of goals fell heavily on the young core. From February to April, Arsenal produced some of their best football in years. Wins over Wolves, both home and away, were gritty, emotional victories that showcased the team's resilience. Against Aston Villa, Ramsdale's heroics and Saka's winner proved decisive. Even a 4-2 away win at Chelsea in April, with Eddie Nketiah scoring twice, underlined the growth in character. The chase for Champions League football went down to the wire. Arsenal were in control with just 3 games left, but a costly defeat away at Tottenham in the derby and a shock loss at Newcastle handed the advantage to Spurs. The season ended with a 5-1 win over Everton, but it wasn't enough. They finished 5th, just 2 points short of their top 4. Despite the disappointment, the progress was undeniable. Arsenal had improved their league position to their highest in 3 years, with 69 goals scored and a return to European football through the Europa League. The defence, rebuilt around Ramsdale, White and Gabriel, had a new solidity. The midfield, when Partey was fit, looked balanced, and in attack, the emergence of Saka and Smith-Rowe as double-digit scorers showed the club's future was in safe hands. By the final whistle of the 2021-22 season, Arsenal had not reached their ultimate target, but they had taken a giant step forward. The youngest squad in the league had pushed for Champions League football until the very end, and the connection between the fans and the team was returning. Arteta's vision was becoming clear: a disciplined, unified, and dynamic Arsenal, built for the future. The 2022-23 season wasn't just another year for Arsenal. After 2.5 years of rebuilding, of hard calls and growing pains had led to this moment. After narrowly missing out on Champions League football the year before, Arsenal were determined not to let history repeat itself. The summer transfer window set the tone. Arteta, alongside sporting director Edu, went for proven Premier League winners. Gabriel Jesus arrived from Manchester City, bringing not just goals but a relentless work rate and a winning mentality. Alongside him came Alexander Zinchenko, another Man City man, versatile, technical and tactically intelligent. A player who could redefine the left-back role. Fabio Vieira was signed from Porto as a creative option, while young American goalkeeper Matt Turner and Brazilian winger Marquinhos were brought in for depth. From pre-season, something felt different. Arsenal's football was sharper, faster, more confident. The tactical evolution was clear. Jesus offered movement and pressing up front, freeing Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli to attack with greater freedom. Zinchenko's tendency to drift into midfield created overloads, allowing Granit Xhaka, now in a more advanced role, to contribute in attack. And Martin Odegaard, now captain, became the heartbeat of the team. The season began with a statement. An opening night at Selhurst Park, Arsenal beat Crystal Palace 2-0, showing steel and composure. Then came a storming run. 5 straight wins, including the 3-0 demolition of Bournemouth, and a thrilling 3-1 victory over Tottenham in the North London derby. Jesus was electric, Odegaard was pulling the strings, and William Saliba, back from his loan spell in France, was playing like a defender years beyond his age. By October, Arsenal were top of the league. A pulsating 3-2 win over Liverpool at the Emirates cemented their credentials as title challengers. The atmosphere was electric. Fans who had grown used to frustration were now daring to dream again. Arteta's Arsenal had developed a clear identity: high pressing, positional rotations, and blistering speed in transition. Zinchenko often stepped into midfield to create numerical superiority, while Xhaka's late runs into the box became a new weapon. The young front three, Martinelli, Jesus and Saka, were among the most dangerous in Europe. Even the setback of a 3-1 defeat to Manchester United in September didn't derail them. They bounced back with a string of wins, including a gritty 1-0 away victory at Chelsea in November, a game that underlined Arsenal's growing maturity. The World Cup break in November could have stalled momentum, but Arsenal came back just as strong. A Boxing Day 3-1 win over West Ham kept them top, and by January they had built an 8-point lead over Manchester City. Odegaard was in majestic form, Saka was tormenting fullbacks, and Saliba, alongside Gabriel, formed one of the league's best defensive pairings. January also brought reinforcements. Leandro Trossard arrived from Brighton after Arsenal missed out on Mykhailo Mudryk, and Polish defender Jakub Kiwior joined for depth. Jorginho came from Chelsea, adding experience in the midfield. Trossard in particular became a key figure, slotting seamlessly into the front line and racking up assists. Then came February's showdown with Manchester City at the Emirates, a 3-1 defeat that narrowed the gap. Still, Arsenal responded with resilience, producing late winners against Aston Villa and Bournemouth. The latter, a dramatic 3-2 comeback sealed by Reiss Nelson's thunderbolt in the 97th minute, one of the moments of the season. By April, the title was within touching distance, but pressure mounted. Draws against Liverpool, West Ham and Southampton chipped away at their lead, and a heavy defeat at the Etihad handed the initiative to City. Even so, Arsenal fought on, securing the Champions League qualification with weeks to spare. The first time back in Europe's elite competition since 2016-17. The season ended with Arsenal finishing second on 84 points, their highest tally in over a decade, just 5 behind Manchester City. They had spent 248 days at the top of the table, a Premier League record for a team that didn't win the title. Saka reached double figures in goals and assists. Odegaard scored 15 goals and had 7 assists in the league, leading by example. Jesus transformed the attack with his movement and pressing. Saliba's injury late in the season showed just how vital he had become, and Zinchenko's tactical intelligence changed the way Arsenal played. They didn't lift the trophy, but 2022-23 was the season Arsenal truly returned. Not just as a top 4 side, but as genuine title contenders. The youngest squad in the league had gone toe-to-toe with one of the greatest teams in Premier League history. The dream was alive again, and for Arsenal fans, this was just the beginning. The summer of 2023 arrived at Arsenal with a renewed pulse. This was not just another campaign, it was a statement of intent. To that end, the club reshaped its spine. Declan Rice arrived in July for a record-breaking £100 million, injecting strength, composure and leadership into the midfield. Kai Havertz was brought in to offer creative flexibility and goal threat up top, and Jurrien Timber bolstered defensive options with his versatility and calm on the ball. Arteta refined his system, anchored by Rice's discipline, Timber's adaptability, and the advanced connections between Odegaard, Havertz and Saka. The tactical evolution was clear: balanced structure with attacking freedom. In their return to the Champions League, Arsenal topped their group with an astonishing 12-goal difference, the best of any team in the tournament. For the first time since 2009-10, they reached the quarter-finals, only bowing out narrowly to Bayern Munich, a step forward that felt massive. In the Premier League, Arsenal's dominance was dramatic and won 28 league matches. Arsenal stormed through the campaign, notching up a league-high 91 goals and 113 across all competitions, marking their best scoring campaign since the 1950s. Arsenal posted their second highest tally ever, even matching near invincible levels. But despite this brilliance, they again finished runners-up, falling just 2 points short of Manchester City's crown. Tactically, Arteta leaned on strategic innovation. Under the influence of set-piece coach Nicolas Javert, Arsenal became corner kings, scoring a record match in 16 corner-derived goals and totaling 20 non-penalty set-piece strikes, the most in Premier League history for the season. In midfield, Declan Rice added steel and dynamism. His presence brought balance to the side with 6 goals and 6 assists, and the ability to dictate rhythm with defensive grit, a midfield anchor that allowed others to flourish. Alongside Rice, Odegaard served as the creative heartbeat, ending the season as the league's most inventive player, finishing with 11 goals and 11 assists, while topping the league charts for chances created, securing his second consecutive player of the season. Kai Havertz, with 13 goals and 7 assists, became the only 5th Arsenal player to reach 20 Premier League goal involvements in his debut season, joining legends like Henry and Sanchez. Bukayo Saka became the first gunner to score 20 goals across all competitions since 2019-20, and the first Englishman to do so since Theo Walcott in 2012-13. Meanwhile, Arteta's team emerged as a fortress defensively. Only 29 league goals conceded, their best backline showing in 2 decades, and 18 clean sheets in the Premier League, 5 more than the nearest rival. Between the sticks, David Raya made the goalkeeping position his own, keeping 6 consecutive away clean sheets and winning the Golden Glove, earning a place in the PFA Team of the Year. From defensive solidity to exhilarating new signings, it marked a rebirth. Though silverware eluded them, the foundations laid, through strategic progress, tactical innovation and burgeoning leadership, chart a bold path forward. As the 2024-25 season dawned, Arsenal stood at a crossroads. Another near miss in the Premier League, another year chasing silverware. Arteta knew the margin for error had vanished. This needed to be the breakthrough. Shaping that ambition were key arrivals. Mikel Merino, a cultured midfielder from Real Sociedad, joined in August. Fresh defensive depth came via Ricardo Calafiori, signed for over £33 million, a ball-playing defender who provided composure and relevance in attack. Arsenal opened the season claiming the Emirates Cup, a small but potent declaration of intent. As the Premier League began, Arteta's tactical blueprint leaned on fluidity. Early in the season, crew amid absences, Arteta unleashed academy firepower. Ethan Nwaneri, a 16-year-old forward, scored multiple braces, netted in both the FA Cup and Champions League, and asserted himself as a living testament to Arteta's bold faith in youth. As the calendar turned, so did momentum. Arsenal marched through the Champions League, defeating Real Madrid on the way to a semi-final berth, their deepest run since 2009. In the Premier League, they conceded just 34 goals, the best defensive record again, and yet for a 3rd season running, they finished runners-up. The title remained elusive, but it wasn't all heartache. Club legend in the making, Ethan Nwaneri, despite his youth, emerged as a revelation, scoring in every competition, becoming only the 3rd player under 18 to net 5 goals in a season, joining Owen and Rooney. Merino's tactical versatility delivered moments of brilliance in crucial fixtures. His grace on the ball and finishing touch, slotted into a makeshift striker role, proved pivotal, scoring in epics like a 2-0 win over Leicester and the stunning 3-0 triumph over Real Madrid in the Champions League quarter-finals first leg. Calafiori's composure redefined Arsenal's defensive build-up, slotting in with goals against Manchester City and Wolves, even scoring in that 7-1 demolition of PSV. Arsenal didn't lift the title, but in 2024-25, Arteta didn't just build a team, he crafted an identity defined by youth, adaptability and fearlessness. It was a season of near mythic moments and heartbreaks, yet beneath it all lay a promise that this Arsenal is still building towards something great. As the curtain rose on Arsenal's 2025-26 campaign, the stakes had never felt higher. After 3 agonisingly close second-place finishes, Mikel Arteta's 4th full season was poised as the moment of truth. This wasn't just another season, it was a must-win stage. The transformation was tangible. From late June through July 2025, Arsenal rebuilt their spine, investing more than £180 million into 6 strategic signings. A new goalkeeper, Kepa Arrizabalaga, arrived to challenge for the number 1 shirt and bring elite-level experience. In the midfield, the troika of Martin Zubimendi, a combative yet intelligent anchor, joined from Real Sociedad, while Christian Norgard, the Danish enforcer from Brentford, strengthened depth with grit and consistency. Up front, the attacking revamp was eye-catching. Noni Madueke, a pacey, creative wide threat from Chelsea, signed for around £48 million. And most crucially, a striker Arteta had long craved. Victor Gyökeres, the Swedish goal machine, cost around £55 million with add-ons, stepping into Thierry Henry's iconic number 14 shirt with lethal expectation. Christian Mosquera, a promising young defender from Valencia, joined to freshen the backline with a blend of youth and quality. Arsenal's core looks complete, and now the depth and firepower to match. The midfield and attack feel newly dangerous. Gyökeres, in particular, is the missing link, a clinical predator in a team built on control. Fans and analysts alike began to shift. No longer hopeful dreamers, but serious title contenders.